G'day folks, this is Rich Bird S from Brighter Days in sunny Christchurch, New Zealand, with a tutorial of how to send summary emails that may list a series of tasks per user on a schedule. So I've got a workflow that I've created and I've put up onto my YouTube channel, which covers the how to send task due reminders every 7 or 14 days. And so I got asked the question by AP, can we do like a summarized message? So I'm a user and I've got 20 tasks that I need to be reminded about, but I don't want to send that person 20 emails. I want to send them one email with the 20 tasks in it. So this workflow tutorial will cover how to do that. So first of all, we'll look at the list structure. This could be any list in SharePoint, and what I'm doing for today's session is covering the single person column. So single user. The next extension to this will cover how to do this for multiple select people columns, but for right now, single people. So you basically, we've got this is an imaginary list of tasks where we have a title, who the task is assigned to, its title, its due date, any details, whatever columns you want. But what we're going to want to have in here is definitely a single person column with people in it. As you build this up, try and put a few in there so you can see that you're going to get more than one rather than just a single one. Okay, so with that all said, the next action is to jump into Power Automate, and we are going to create, and we will do a scheduled flow. We could do manual for this, but let's do scheduled, just because then we can run it daily or weekly, however you want it to do. And in testing, when you're working with scheduled flows, you can just run them on demand as you're testing. So it's a good way to see what that would look like whenever that time's going to happen for you. So let's call this send summary emails for tasks, so I can remember what it is I've created. And I'm not going to do it every minute, I'm going to do it every day. 10's fine for now. That'll be 10 p.m. probably in New Zealand, but that's fine. Okay, so with our recurrent set, we will now go, first of all, we're going to get items. So let's get our items from SharePoint. So we're going to click plus, type in get items, and you want items SharePoint. If you can't see it here, when you first make it, select SharePoint, and you can do another little mini search inside the search. Same thing, right? But get items. Then go to your SharePoint site collection and your SharePoint list. My list is called People Multi-Select, and then we're just going to leave that as is. No filters. What we may want to do, if I'm thinking there could be hundreds, up to 5,000 or more items in here, and I want it to run on everything, every task, I may want to then go over to my little ellipsis, click settings, turn on pagination, and put in 1,000, right, or more, depending on what I need to do. Click done. The other thing to note here is if you've got a column in your task list which is tracking the status of your tasks, this demo doesn't have that at the moment, but if you did, you could put a filter here where you would put an odata filter in, which we talk about in a minute anyway, but just having a filter so you're just doing this get items on active tasks, not everything, because you don't want to send people reminders for tasks they've already closed. That's the quickest way to get happy people grumpy. Alright, so just do that, and then if you need to, then I always try to rename my, well, you should anyway, rename all of your actions so that do it when you do it, don't do it afterwards when you've connected something to this, because most of the time Power Automate gets it right, but if you've got something happening and apply to each loop or something, then you may need to recreate that apply to each loop to catch up with the renaming of your previous action steps. Excuse me. Alright, so let's just get items all open. I'm going to assume my list is all open, right? Okay, hide that. So that will get us 1,000 items from our list. The next thing we need to do is use some of our data operations functions in Power Automate to get, first of all, get all the items and get all the usernames of all the people that have got a task open. And that will give us more than one person in our list of people. So I'm going to get me twice and Sean and Elena, but we get them all first of all, put them into an array with a select statement on it, and then we do a union to just pull out the unique items. So let's do that first of all. So initially we're going to get all our items. So type in select in your operation, and you should find select as the first one there. Okay. And in the from action, we're going to use value from all of our previous steps. So again, we've renamed our control or action step here so we can match it. We know which one it is. So it's the value. And then let's just call this task email. So in the select statement, the mapping first part here is your friendly name that you can put in. And then over in the right, that's the actual field that you're going to want to put in. Now, for a person field, you may be tempted to type in or grab that one because it's the first one you see, right? And the column is actually called single person, but that's not what we want. That will give us the whole column for the person field. So we want to scroll down through our Power Automate actions until we find single person again, or just type in your dynamic search. Not that. Type in single, and we want single person email. We want to get the unique emails, right? So pop that in there, and then rename select emails. Alright, next step is to put in a compose action. So this action is going to get us the unique emails. And it's always better if you can spell well. Alright, so we're going to use the an action in here, which is an expression which is called union. So the union will allow us to take all of these items in the select emails step before and then just give us the unique ones. So I appreciate it's a bit small on some of your screens, but you're going to want to type in union, open bracket, and then let's see if we can get the dynamic control for body. Yeah, there we go. So there's a little trick you can do for when you're doing expressions, is to switch it back inside of the commas or the brackets that you want. Go back to dynamic content, and you may be able to find the item you're looking for. And then jump back out, and I want to basically union this twice. So I'm going to grab that, copy that. Ugh. Good job, I copied it, comma, paste again. So we're basically getting the union twice, and it's basically going to run through it and find only the unique ones. So union body select underscore emails, which is a space there, is an underscore here, and then body thing. Okay, click OK. If you want to run this test, you can save. At this point in time is a good time to check that you've got all your format right. We're not doing any OData filters, so thanks for the pop-up. Run it manually. Click the test, click run flow. I appreciate my screen here might not show the rest of the columns. So we've gone through, I've got all the items. If I want to see what I've got in there, I can see that there's a bunch of stuff that's going to come through, right? I'm not too interested in that at this point. I can get my emails, select, and I can see from my select emails action, I'm starting to get task email, and I can see my name twice, then Sean and Elena, which matches the data I have in my SharePoint list. And then down in my unique area, I can see with my union, I'm now just getting, I've got the 3 people, right? So not the 4 that I did have, I've got my 3. All right, so then seeing that, got a green light, no errors, proceed on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to parse the JSON for this unique. So I've got an array here of my unique emails, but I just want to make it real easy and just have make it easy to pull out the emails that I want to send an email to. So choose an operation, type in parse, and then you should be able to find parse JSON. The output from this action is the step before it, so compose unique emails. And then you're going to want to put in a schema. Now, what I've found is the easy way to do this, because the good way to do it, when you test your workflow and you run it on you, and you can see you've got your unique emails, that's going to give you the array that you want, and you can generate that from a sample. So when you've got this one open, to open up your previous one, or your run to see your history, jump back up to the go back to previous page, right click, open link in new tab, and that will give us back to our summary email, and I've kept the other tab open so I can then go back into my previous run for my workflow. If you see the spinning thing, click in the screen. That will speed things up for you. Go into your compose unique emails action and then copy everything that you've got from the outputs, or go to the raw outputs there, copy that. Okay. Jump back into your actual workflow, click generate from sample, paste that array in. All it's really got is task email, right? But that's fine. You could type that if you wanted to. Not, because I'm showing how you could do it this way and how it will create you a nice schema that you can reuse. And then let's rename this. Names union. Okay. Then with this information selected, I can put a new step in, and I can say, right, first of all, let's get the emails. I could use a variable, or I could use compose. Bit of a fan of compose, so I'm going to put that in there. So compose, grab another compose action, and then rename that to email 2. And in here, because I've parsed my JSON beforehand, it shows me the 3 fields or 3 entities that exist in my JSON schema, and the one I want is task email. We'll select that. It will put it into an apply to each loop, because there's more than one item in the array, and it's an array, so even if there's one item in the array, it will still put you in an apply to each. But I've got this information here. Next thing I'm going to do is go back to SharePoint, and I'm going to get items again. Now, clever people across Power Automate will be able to do this in the same action. I'm doing this for real easy, straight into it, have it done in 5 minutes. Okay, so there are some good blogs showing how to loop this all together. I'm being lazy for this one, but I hope you can follow along with this easily, and it will work just as you see me do it. Alright, so go back to your site, select your site collection, select your list, and this time we are going to put a filter in. So again, you're going to want to do your settings. If you've got lots of items in there, again, this could throw out big numbers as well, so just be aware that you're not going to use up your daily quota of flow runs. Rename that to get items filtered, and then in your filter query we're going to type an odata filter to get this action, just the email that we want is in here. So basically, so we want show me all the items that are relevant to me, show me all the relevant items that are relevant to someone else, but all in different actions. So the column in SharePoint is called single person, and again, like with all SharePoint columns, if you've ever changed this, the friendly name of it, you're going to want to go into your list settings to get the actual system name of your column, to make sure that it is actually called single person, and you will find that by clicking onto the name of the column and then looking in your URL at the very end, field equals single person. It's a common mistake I see with a lot of people with their workflows, is they end up, someone's changed here or there's a space here, and they need to make sure they do have the full friendly or system name copied to put into the odata filter. So we know it's called single person, but it's also it's also a person field, so it's a complex field type, so single person is not going to work by itself. So what we want to be able to do is to get the email part of a person field into Power Automate to operate as a filter, is put a / capital E capital M, make sure you got a capital M, email, right? That will just return the filter node of the email for that single person field type. And EQ for equals, single speech mark, And because I've put a composed action equal composed email to, I can see it in my dynamic content. I'm going to select that, close off my single speech mark at the end. Now this is going to get just items for me, and basically do an apply to each. So it's going to find the unique items for each person. Right. So save that. Make sure you haven't got any errors popping up as you're doing things, which is great. Okay, and then to put the items into something that an email can use, the easiest way to pop that in is to put it into an HTML table. So luckily Power Automate has the ability to have an HTML table. So type in HTML, you'll see a few different items, but let's do create HTML table. Select that, and then what you're going to put in there is the from. So we're going to create the email or the HTML table from this action here. So click into from, find your get items filtered, which is this previous step, select the value. Okay, at the moment this is going to put everything into that table, and we don't want to have that, so we want to expand our advanced options, and this will show us how the columns will work. And then for this example I'm going to do custom, because I just want to show a couple columns for a person and then make it easy for them to figure out. So this will then give you a header value. Value is where you put your dynamic content, header is where you put in your text. Now header doesn't like spaces when you type in via the UI control, so if you need to put other names in here with spaces to make it easier to read, whack in some compose or some variable actions here, or use dynamic content as an expression to type in what you want to say. Okay, but for me I've got real easy columns, so I'm going to go title. Over here in the value I can see in my get items filtered, I want the title, I'm going to search for that. So get items filtered, again make sure that you have got the right one, not the previous step. So get items filtered, title, task. You could say whatever you wanted in there, but then basically task title, that's the name in my column. If I go back to my list, I'm just going to bring in title, task title, and due date. Maybe task details, depending on how we're feeling. Due date. Again, use the dynamic content filter. Again, get the get items filtered, put that in, and then description. Put in description again. What did I call that column? Task details. There we go. Details. Alright, so I've got an HTML table now. And then inside this same apply to each loop, which is just around this one person we're getting, we're going to send an email. So click plus, add an action, choose an operation, email. Depending on your flavor, I'm going to go with send an email from Outlook. And then here we can do, let's do a rename, task summary. If only I could spell. Right, the to field. Now if you've been following along and you've made it this far in the session, that's great, because you'll know that we're going to use this email here to put into this field. Okay, so click into the to. Don't go with suggested people, click on add dynamic content. Click that and you will then see your dynamic content. Now here you do have to look for the field, so remember it's compose email to, but this dynamic control is not going to help you search for that. So a good way to search through any compose steps is to go outputs or outputs, and that just gives you all the compose steps you put in. So there's my compose email to action. Click that, that's going to whack it in. Subject, summary of open tasks. And then in here, this is where you can put in your table. And then you could wrap up this table with some extra CSS to make it look pretty. But basically, when you're in the body of the email message, click create HTML table. The output of that's going to give you the table and put it in there. Nice table. Okay, remember this get items filtered again. If you wanted to make sure that you were going with open or task status items, I could put and then a name of my column that was tracking the statuses, because I don't want to give an email to this person with all their closed items as well as the open. I just want to show the open items. Okay, so remember that. If people struggle with that, I'll update this to make it work. So then we're ready to save and we're ready to test. All right. Click manually, click run flow, click done, and wait for things to happen. So it will run every day. It's going to get the open items. It's going to get the emails from the values that are going to come in from this array of open items. We're then going to strip it down to get the unique emails, and then we're going to parse the JSON so we can make it easier for us to use it and apply to each step. And then we're going to step through. So there's 3 unique names the message is going to be sent through to. And this has already come over in my email, which is fine. But I can see it popped up there. So Outlook's running a bit faster than here. But here's the message that's just come in. So you can see here why you may want to put your CSS around a table to space things out and make it look a bit prettier. But that's a way to get your email, one email to a person with multiple tasks. And if I go, let's see if that's running, hasn't finished yet. Anyway, if I go back, there we go, finished off, great. There we go, nice. In here, so my one is probably the first email that's gone through, so I can see there I've got a table that's coming in, there's a couple things in there, and I can see in the next that Sean of Brighter Days would have got one, and that will just have his tasks. So he's got task 3, and then let's go to Elena, and she's probably got task 4. There we go, nice, cool. And then go back to me, you'll see I've got task 1, and if I keep scrolling, task 2. So then unique emails to each person with open tasks. My team's going to be loving me for sending them spam at work, but that's the price you pay for a YouTube clip. I hope that helps anyone that's trying to build a Power Automate workflow to show a summary of items to unique users. Any questions, just pop into the chat and I'll do my best to come and help you out with those. Thanks everybody. Keep on power apping and power automating.